Hello there you guys, welcome to my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current transfer rumours and gossip, as we do every day, giving you the latest news, of course, what players are linked with Manchester United and all that. So there's lots to negotiate on this video today, but the first topic of the development I'm going to give you an update on is in regards to Issa Diop. As I have been updating you on a regular basis, I think in the last day or two, because obviously reports were emerging out last week, saying that Manchester United of course were interested in him, but obviously, West Ham are reluctant, to currently offload the player. But now reports have just recently, come out today saying that reportedly, West Ham are demanding Anthony Martial in exchange for Issa Diop if they are willing, of course, to do any business, with Issa Diop. But I doubt Manchester United, will go along with this, because we do know how much of an imperative player that Anthony Martial is, and obviously we do know that Manchester United are reluctant, to offload Anthony Martial. Even though there was a lot of talks going on a while back saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was reportedly, willing to sell Anthony Martial. I think it was actually towards the back end of last season, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was he infuriated Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Solskjaer was reflecting on his bad attitude and that in training and all that. So there was talks of Solskjaer selling Anthony Martial, but obviously his decision to sell Anthony Martial had obviously been overruled by the Glazers and all that, because obviously I think it was Joe Glazer who was one of the Glazers. He views Anthony Martial as the next Pele and all that, and he has been inconsistent for the last couple of months as Anthony Martial, but we still know that he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. Obviously he's been subject to quite a lot of transfer speculation in the past as Anthony Martial, but I still believe he's the long-term solution. He has been here 4 years. Obviously he's made about 113 appearances in the Premier League. I think he scored about 34 goals, provided 17 assists. Obviously he signed a new 5-year deal back in January, did Anthony Martial, and obviously I think we got him for around £36 million, potentially rising up to 57 or 58 million pounds, based on goals and achievements and all that. So I do presume that Manchester United, will reject this offer, from West Ham and all that. So we're not willing to let Anthony Martial go. But we do know that we are in for Issa Diop. Of course, he's a central defender, and obviously we do know that we have got issues defensively. Obviously, that was proven last season because we conceded 54 goals in the Premier League last season. So like I said, I do believe that we need 2 central defenders, and we need someone that can partner alongside Victor Lindelof. But I think from Issa Diop's perspective, he's keen on joining Manchester United, but West Ham are reluctant to sell him because they know how much of the central player he is to them. But I think West Ham, want at least around £60 million for him. But like I said, I don't think he's worth £60 million. And like I said on my previous video, I don't think any West Ham central defender is worth £60 million. But obviously, he's had a year of experience under his belt in the Premier League. Obviously, last season was his debut season in the Premier League with West Ham. I think he played about 33 games. I think he made about 38 appearances in all competitions. Obviously, West Ham got him last summer from Toulouse for around £22 million. Obviously, last summer he did sign a 5-year contract with West Ham, and now he's got 4 years remaining on his contract. So he is under contract with West Ham until 2023. But he is only 22 years of age, so he would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to develop a squad of young, hungry, homegrown talents and all that. And a lot of people said we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, and obviously I think we are moving away from the policy, as they have been saying, of signing them well established players and all that. Like I said, we do need a central defender. It reportedly said that we've had a £40 million bid turned down by West Ham, because I think he said we put a £40 million bid in, plus we offered an unknown player. The player remained anonymous. The player didn't get named who we offered as part of that £40 million as well. But reportedly West Ham had currently turned this down. But Issa Diop would be a cheaper solution than Harry Maguire from Leicester. Would be a cheaper solution than Koulibaly from Napoli or Mattis de Ligt from Ajax and all that. But I don't think we're going to get Koulibaly or Mattis de Ligt. So we are looking at the possibility of getting Issa Diop, and now we're obviously looking at getting Harry Maguire on the board and all that. But yeah, I can't see Manchester United willing to offer Anthony Martial as part of the deal for us to sign Issa Diop and all that. But I think Martial wants to remain Manchester United. Like I said, he's only 23 years of age, and I think it's going to take Martial at least a couple of years to get into that level where he currently wants to be and all that. So Manchester United have got no intentions of selling him. Obviously, as he updated you earlier on about Harry Maguire, of course, I think, recent reports said, Manchester United are prepared to spend up to £80 million on Harry Maguire. We're prepared to spend up to £80 million on him because I think now he's one of our priority targets, is Harry Maguire. Obviously, it has been mainly Manchester United and Manchester City that have been battling out for his services. So it did say we're willing to pay £80 million for him. Ed Woodward is keen on recommending him in. Of course, obviously, we're going to have to probably break the world transfer record for the defender to get a deal over the line for Harry Maguire and all that. But yeah, he's been relentlessly linked to a move to Old Trafford since last summer. Obviously the process did start under Jose Mourinho because obviously Harry Maguire was one of the players that Jose Mourinho currently wanted, but we didn't get him last summer because we were reluctant to pay up to £70 million for his services. But basically looking at ultimately Leicester don't want to sell Harry Maguire, and this is why they've priced him out of the transfer market. This is why they're demanding an extortionate amount. They want 80 or 90 million pounds for him, of course. But recent reports have been actually saying that we're prepared to spend £80 million on him. Like I said, it did also say we could offer either Rojo or Eric Bailly to Leicester as part of the deal for Harry Maguire. So then maybe that could tempt Leicester to lower their current price tag and all that. But I think Rojo as part of the deal with Harry Maguire would be very beneficial for us because Rojo is one of the players that's looking very imminent to be leaving Manchester United this summer because Rojo has endured a very, very difficult time with the club. Obviously the main factor reason why this is because obviously he's sustained a number of injuries since he's become a Manchester United player and hasn't really been given the opportunity. He also said, like I said, we could offer Eric Bailly. With Eric Bailly, I'm not too sure because I think Eric Bailly's got great potential. I think he's a really, really good central defender, is Eric Bailly, but I think his Manchester United career has been badly affected. The amount of injuries he's sustained. He has become injury prone now. Obviously, with his fallout with the managers. Obviously, we got him 3 years ago from Villarreal for £30 million. It actually was Jose Mourinho's first signing when he was here because Jose Mourinho got 11 players, spent just under £400 million, but Eric Bailly, of course, was the first signing. But he burst into the scenes very well when he came into the Premier League. I think he's made about 50 appearances for Manchester United in the Premier League. Scored the only one goal that I think he got against Swansea a couple of years ago and all that. But he has initially lost his place in the team. Reports have also been coming out today as well saying that Manchester United are willing to offer Andres Pereira to Leicester as part of a bid, to sign Harry Maguire and all that. Andres Pereira, of course, he's obviously one of our fringe players. He's still very young. He's only 23 years of age. Is Andres Pereira. Obviously, graduated from Manchester United youth system and all that. Obviously, he obviously had loan spells with Granada. Obviously, had a loan spell with Valencia in Spain and all that. So reportedly, we are willing to offload him, to get a deal over the line for Harry Maguire. But like I said, I like Harry Maguire a lot, but I don't think he's worth 80 or 90 million pounds. I think City did identify him as their number one target, to replace Vincent Kompany because City are looking for a replacement for Kompany. But from Harry Maguire's preference, he actually wants to join Manchester City because, like I said, City are a competitive elite level football club at the moment. They are the dominant force in England and all that, and obviously City in that can offer him Champions League football. But I think City are basically reluctant to pay up to £80 million for him. City only value Harry Maguire around £50 million. But if he was to go to Manchester City, he would find game time very, very difficult at Manchester City because obviously, City have got John Stones. They've also got Otamendi in their backline. They've also got Laporte and all that. So he wouldn't be guaranteed first team football week in, week out. If he comes to Manchester United, he'd definitely be guaranteed first team football week in, week out. And I think he'd blend in alongside Victor Lindelof in our backline very, very well. And I do believe he would help us, with our own rebuilding project and all that. Obviously, we pay £80 million. It's going to make him the most expensive defender in world football, like I said. Also making the most expensive English player of all time, ahead of Kyle Walker, because he's the most expensive English player at the moment. Obviously, City got Kyle Walker for £50 million. This was a couple of years ago. I think there was initial add-ons included, which did potentially rise it to around 52 or 53 million pounds and all that. But yeah, I don't think he's worth 80 or 90 million pounds. He is proven in the Premier League. I think in total he's made about over the century appearances in the Premier League. Of course, he has been at Leicester a couple of seasons. But if Leicester were to get 80 million pounds from him, looking at it from a financial point of view and from a Leicester perspective, they'd make a huge profit on the player because Leicester only paid 17 million pounds for him from Hull City a couple of years ago. He signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last summer. So he's under contract with Leicester until 2023. But he's also British, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talent to Manchester United this summer. But 26, in his prime, he's still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him. But obviously Harry Maguire's going to want to rejuvenate his career. He's going to want to take his footballing career to the next level and all that. He's going to want to take his footballing career to the next level and all that. Is Harry Maguire. So yeah, I do. Really like Harry Maguire, and like I said, I think he'd blend in alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line very well. I think also Harry Maguire had a loan spell with Wigan. I think initially when he was younger, he actually began his career with Sheffield United, obviously progressing up their ranks, and I think he played about 166 professional games for Sheffield United and all that. So Manchester United are in for him. It did say we was willing to offer him a 5-year contract, worth up to £350,000 a week, but we need to see vast improvements, going on into this season, because obviously last season was very disappointing. We finished 6th. We didn't win many silverware, and we haven't won any silverware in the last couple of seasons and all that. But I think our expectations, will be going on into this season. Will be probably, to finish in the top 4, maybe win the, Carabao Cup, maybe win the Europa League and all that. Our expectations going on into this season, won't be to win the league or, challenger for the league and all that, because I think we are a number of years, off for mounting any kind of title challenge up. But like I said, we have been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years and all that, because in fact the reason why this has occurred, because obviously we've had we've been mismanaged in the last 5 or 6 years. We've had different managers with different philosophies. A hell of a lot of money has been invested into the club and all that. So obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding. But like I said, £200 million should be enough to get us around 4 or 5 players on the board. Daniel James of course is confirmed our first signing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and all that. So Solskjaer of course now will want to currently build on that. And obviously full areas where I think Manchester United are lacking. Like I said, I think another problem with Manchester United, we have let far too many players contracts run down. But maybe I hope we can get us number 1 targets this summer. And like I said, Solskjaer still believes we can, even though we're not in a Champions League football next season. But like I said, Champions League football is always very pivotal, when you do want to get your number 1 targets. But he's worked out his transfer strategy. He wants to recommend a number of young players to come in. Like I said, I expect probably about 3 or 4 players to leave Manchester United this summer. We know Valencia's left the club. We know Herrera and that's left the club and all that. Like I said, with Rojo looking likely he'll be leaving. Probably Darmian, I presume he'll be leaving because he's enjoyed a very difficult time at Manchester United and all that. But yeah, I think Harry Maguire would be fantastic for us. And like I said, I think we need 2 central defenders, because Smalling and Jones are too inconsistent. They've been 2 long-serving players at the club. Plus they're aging up now, are Smalling and Jones. And it was a bad mistake for Manchester United, giving them 2 new long-term contracts. Like I said, but we haven't had a world-class central defender, since we had the likes of Vidic, since we had the likes of Ferdinand and all that. But like I said, I don't think we're going to get Koulibaly, because Napoli, basically, priced him out of the transfer market. They're demanding an extortionate amount for him. So I don't see us getting Koulibaly and all that. I think we've definitely missed out on Matthijs de Ligt. Obviously, we was in for Matthijs de Ligt at one point. And obviously, he was one of our priority targets. There was Matthijs de Ligt. But I think it's looking likely, he'll end up, making the move to PSG. He didn't literally say his 2 likely destinations are Barcelona or PSG, of course. But I don't now see him, coming to Manchester United. So we're focusing on Issa Diop from West Ham. And we're looking at getting Harry Maguire from Leicester. So yeah, there's been so many central defenders on our agenda. But saying about Issa Diop, he would be a cheaper solution than Harry Maguire, than Koulibaly and all that. But I think West Ham are reluctant to sell him and all that. But I don't think Manchester United would be willing to pay up to £60 million for his services, because I just don't think he's worth £60 million and all that. I think we're willing to pay up to £40 million for his services. This is why we put a £40 million bid in. Plus we offered an unknown player as well as that, £40 million. But West Ham, of course, had turned this down. But I think he wants to actually, make the move to Manchester United. Obviously, as he updated you on my last video, on my video that I did at the early hours of this morning about Wan-Bissaka. Now, I'm hopeful that we can get a deal over the line for Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, he's one of our priority targets and all that, and he's one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's prime targets, and he has been on our agenda for quite some time. Obviously, a lot of reports came out yesterday, saying that we had a £58 million bid turned down for Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, this is the second bid now we've had turned down by Crystal Palace for Wan-Bissaka. Well, initially the offer, what we offered, it wasn't £50 million up front. Obviously, it was £35 million up front, with £15 million in bonuses and all that. But I think Crystal Palace were not happy with the structure of the offer, and I think they would be keen on Manchester United offering £50 million up front and all that. So if we was willing willing to offer £50 million up front, I think, Crystal Palace, would be willing to currently offload the player. Looking at it, ultimately, Crystal Palace don't even want to sell Wan-Bissaka, but I think reports said, they want at least around £60 million for him. Obviously, the other week it came out, saying that we had a £40 million bid turned down for him. Obviously, we do know that Wan-Bissaka is predominantly a right back and all that. Obviously, he's proven in the Premier League. Obviously, he only made his senior debut for Crystal Palace in February of last year, and obviously last season established himself as a first team regular, and I think he's gone on to make like 42 senior appearances for Crystal Palace. He has got 3 years left on his contract with Crystal Palace, but I think he's actually not informed Crystal Palace, that he does want to join Manchester United this summer. I'm still a little bit sceptical, about Wan-Bissaka, coming in. Obviously, he's our top priority. There's been quite a few right backs on our agenda because, like I said, we need a replacement for Valencia. We need an upgrade to Washion. We need a lateral cover up for Diego Dalot because obviously Diego Dalot is the upcoming future and all that. So I do believe Wan-Bissaka, would be the right solution. I think his defensive capabilities is very, very good, and I do believe he's got the abilities, to elevate Manchester United forward. But he is only 21 years of age, so he has still got a lot of development in him. And obviously, Wan-Bissaka is going to want to rejuvenate his career, take his footballing career to the next level. But initially, when he was younger, Wan-Bissaka, he was actually not an out-and-out winner when he was a lot younger. But obviously, as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back and all that. I think he won Palace's Player of the Year last season, based on his impressive performances. It also said Crystal Palace. Well, Crystal Palace did say that they want Wilfried Zaha's sell-on clause to be removed before they do allow Wan-Bissaka, to join Manchester United, because we do know that Wilfried Zaha's been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Crystal Palace, are demanding, they want around £80 million for Wilfried Zaha, and I do believe, they would get £80 million for Wilfried Zaha because he has become an integral part of Crystal Palace's squad. Since he signed for them permanently in 2015, and he has actually, thrived under Roy Hodgson. There were talks the other week saying that he could possibly make a return back to Old Trafford. Obviously, it said also Arsenal were in for him. Obviously, I think Arsenal were only willing to pay up to £40 million for his services and all that. I think Tottenham have been in for Wilfried Zaha before, but he come out with an admission, did Wilfried Zaha, about a month or so ago now, saying that he does want to leave Crystal Palace. I think the main factor reason why he wants to leave because he wants to be in Champions League football, and probably also wants to rejuvenate his career, take his footballing career to the next level and all that. But yeah, we had Wilfried Zaha when he was younger, but he didn't, we had him for a couple of years, but he didn't really get the opportunity at Manchester United. I think he only made about 4 first team appearances for us. Obviously, it was actually Alex Ferguson's last signing before, obviously, that last signing, because obviously that was Ferguson's last season, before he announced his retirement. I think, we paid around £10 million for Wilfried Zaha, but, he didn't really get the opportunity in his 2-year spell with Manchester United. Obviously, he spent the majority of his career with Crystal Palace anyway, because he initially, began his career with Palace, came to Manchester United for a couple of years, went back to Palace on loan, obviously had a loan spell with Cardiff where he's actually played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then signed permanently for Crystal Palace in 2015. He's under contract with Palace till 2023. I think he extended his contract last summer with them and all that, but he is only 26 years of age, so he has still got a hell of a lot of development in him. He can play as a forward, he can also play as a winner and all that, can Wilfried Zaha, but I think the majority of his goals have actually come in that forward. In that central position, that's where the majority of his goals, I think, have come, with Crystal Palace. So would you take, Wilfried Zaha back to Manchester United? Some reports even speculated saying, they want even £100 million for Wilfried Zaha, but I do believe Crystal Palace, would get around £80 million for him. But he's well proven in the Premier League. Initially I learned his trade in the Premier League and all that. But I just think we need to focus on getting the deal or the line for Wan-Bissaka. But obviously, Thomas Meunier has been on our current agenda. Looking at it from a financial point of view, Thomas Meunier is a much cheaper, solution than Wan-Bissaka. Of course, reports came out the other week saying that PSG, wanted around £25 million for Thomas Meunier. So that is very, very cheap, to be quite honest with you. It also said that Arsenal were in for Thomas Meunier because obviously, they've got issues defensively and all that. Obviously, it's going to be hard for them to have a competitive window this summer because obviously, they're not in Champions League football for next season, but Arsenal need signings because obviously they were only restricted to loan signings back in January and all that. I think they got about 5 players last summer, but I think they only cost them around £70 million. But yeah, they've got to give Umran time. Obviously last season was his first season with Arsenal, but yeah. Arsenal have been in for Thomas Meunier. Like I said, I think from Thomas Meunier's preference, he does want to make the move to Manchester United, as he was saying a couple of weeks ago, because reportedly he has been a Manchester United fan since he was a child. Thomas Meunier is 27 years of age, so he's, I'd say he's still got quite a bit of development in him. I'd say he's got at least 3 or 4 years left in him. Obviously, he is predominantly a right back. He's 27. He can play in other positions as well, so very versatile. He's got goals in him, got assisting him, only got a year left on his deal with PSG, Thomas Meunier, but he's not played in the Premier League as yet. But I do believe if he came to the Premier League, I think he'd have all the attributes to succeed in the Premier League. I think he'd exceed expectation levels in the Premier League without a shadow of a doubt. But he has been at PSG 3 years. I think he's made about 101 appearances for them, and PSG got him from Club Brugge for around £5 million, was it, back in 2016. But yeah, very, very good player indeed, Thomas Meunier. So probably we are seeing Meunier as the alternative, basically, to Wan-Bissaka. If we don't get a deal on the line for Wan-Bissaka, we'll want to get a deal on the line for Meunier. But like I said, there's been quite a few right backs on our agenda. Obviously, as I've been updating you on a regular basis as well, in regards to Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon, I'm still very, very confident, that we can get a deal on the line for Bruno Fernandes, even though a lot of reports were emerging out yesterday saying that Liverpool have submitted around a €45 million bid for him. Obviously, this equates to £40 million in sterling, and I think Liverpool are actually the first team to make like any formal bid for Bruno Fernandes, but I don't think £40 million will be enough to convince Sporting Lisbon to offload him. I was reading reports the other day. I think Sporting Lisbon want at least around £50 million if they are willing to offload Bruno Fernandes and all that. But like I said, he's been widely spoken about throughout the course of this window. So many teams have inquired about his services. Well, quite a few, should I say. But I still say we're in the ascendancy of getting a deal over the line for him, of course, because he did initially say the other week that we'd scheduled a meeting with Sporting Lisbon to obviously get a deal finalised there for Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, a lot of reports came out of the Portuguese press last week saying that Liverpool were in for him. It also said, that Tottenham were in for him, but I think now Tottenham have ruled out the move for Bruno Fernandes, so Tottenham now are no longer in for Bruno Fernandes. They have basically, withdrawn their interest. Obviously, Manchester City were in for him. It has been, mainly Manchester United and Manchester City that have been battling out for his services, because it did confirm the other week from the ball of the Portuguese press there said, City have now withdrawn their interest, and they have basically, now pulled them out of the race. But we was willing to offer more than City, because we're willing to offer around £70 million for his services. Manchester City were only willing to offer just under £50 million, but City, of course, were looking, were willing to offload a couple of their players as part of the deal. I read in recent reports as well, it said Atletico Madrid now have entered the race for him. It says Atletico Madrid were preparing to put a bid in for him of around just over £44 million sometime this week. But yeah, Bruno Fernandes did say, he would talk to Sporting Lisbon about leaving if a big club comes calling in, or if a team comes up with an offer, that he can't currently refuse them and all that. But Bruno Fernandes, still follows the Italian football and all that, because obviously he spent the majority of his career in Italy, when he was younger. Obviously, he played with Sampdoria, obviously, played for them under and all that. But yeah, he's done really, really well in his 2 years in Portugal with Sporting Lisbon. He's exceeded expectation levels and all that. Obviously, scored 31 goals last season, so I'm hopeful we can still get a deal over the line for him. Reports came out a couple of weeks ago saying that Ed Woodward was hesitant over our transfer move for Bruno Fernandes, because maybe, he's got reservations about us spending big on players, or, a fair amount on players who he doesn't think, of course, are going to step up to the mark. But I think Bruno Fernandes, would fit the Manchester United agenda, perfectly, because that midfield area is one of the pivotal areas where we do need to strengthen up. We need depth in that midfield, we need character in that midfield, and we need someone that can score goals from that midfield, and, Bruno Fernandes is the right solution. But he has been one of our priority targets. He is primarily an attacking midfielder, so we probably would see him as the adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. He's only had 24 years of age, so he has still got a hell of a lot of development in him. But yeah, I do really, really like him, of course. And let's be honest, he hasn't really played to the highest level as yet, Bruno Fernandes. But I think he'd do well in the Premier League. And obviously, he's going to want to rejuvenate his career. He's going to want to take his footballing career to the next level. His initial release clause is around 85 or is it £86 million? But obviously, as reports said. As reports said before, it did basically say, we're not willing to trigger his release clause. City would, of course, we're not willing to trigger his release clause, but he is still under contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023. So I'm still hopeful that we can get a deal over the line for him. Reports came out the other week saying that we'd reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon. No figure out had been agreed, but he said we've reached an agreement. He said we were very very close to signing him and all that. And Ebola reported saying that we're still in the ascendancy of getting Bruno Fernandes. So I'm very very hopeful that he can come in. Obviously, as I've been updating you regularly about Youri Tielemans from Leicester now, a lot of reports were coming out yesterday about that, saying now reportedly we'd actually been offered the chance to sign Youri Tielemans, because actually Youri Tielemans has confirmed he probably won't be at Monaco next season. He doesn't want to stay with Monaco, so basically we'll be playing his trade somewhere else next season, of course. But he said reportedly we'd been offered the chance to sign him, but reportedly we have declined the opportunity to get a deal completed for Youri Tielemans, even though a lot of reports were reflecting out last week from the media, saying that we'd revived our interest in him. I think he's been on our agenda for quite some time. I think we was tracking him when he was at Anderlecht, because obviously he began his career and that Anderlecht graduated from their youth system and all that. So I think we was tracking him then. But he did say we'd been in negotiations with his agent over a possible deal, and he is available for a reasonable figure. I think he's available for around £40 million. This is what Monaco rate him at, but of course Monaco are open to selling Youri Tielemans. But now reports have said that Leicester are allegedly leading the race for him, because obviously Youri Tielemans was pivotal in Leicester's transformation under Brendan Rodgers, and obviously Leicester have been in talks with Monaco over getting him on a permanent deal. But he's had about 5 or 6 months of experience under his belt in the Premier League. Obviously he had been on loan with Leicester since January. He's very very impressive throughout his loan spell with Leicester. Obviously now he has returned to Monaco, because obviously his loan spell has come to an end with Leicester and all that. I think also Tottenham have been in for him. Obviously Manchester City I think have previously been in for him, but I think he's mainly box-to-box midfielder. He can also play as an attacking midfielder, but he is only 22 years of age, as Youri Tielemans. So I think he would be a good adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. But I think we have held more extensive talks, of coming to an agreement, to try and get Youri Tielemans on the board. But I think he would be absolutely fantastic for Manchester United. Initially, Monaco got him for £21 million a couple of years ago from Anderlecht, of course. Obviously, he's under contract with Monaco until 2022. But yeah, has been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Obviously, as I've been updating you regularly as well about Adrien Rabiot from PSG, because obviously we do know that he's on our agenda. I don't know if he will be coming to Manchester United, but it's looking very imminent. He's going to be leaving PSG. But I think from his own perspective, Adrien Rabiot, he still remains uncertain, where he will be playing next season. Obviously, he is going to be a free agent, or he is now free. I think his actual contract expires at the beginning of next month. So obviously then he's going to be a free agent. And obviously, the beneficial thing about this is obviously no team has to pay any transfer fee for him, like I said, so that's very very beneficial and all that. I think recent reports have said that Juventus, he's held talks with Juventus over the potential move to Juventus. Obviously Juventus have just appointed Maurizio Sarri as their new manager and all that. But yeah, so many teams have inquired about Adrien Rabiot's services. We've been in there, obviously Arsenal have been in there, I think Liverpool have obviously been in there and all that for him. I think a couple of reports came out a couple of weeks ago saying that Everton had held negotiations and all that. But yeah, Adrien Rabiot, people have got reservations about Rabiot, because obviously they've got reservations about his attitude, because his attitude is really really bad and all that. I think it's actually his mother that I don't think it's his agent, but his mother actually acts like she's his agent and all that. But he's only 24 years of age. He is primarily a central midfielder, but it's looking very imminent he's going to be leaving PSG. Obviously hasn't played one game for PSG this year, because obviously he had been withdrawn from the PSG squad last year by Thomas Tuchel. This is obviously based on his refusal to sign a new contract. But reports came out a couple of weeks ago saying that we were reportedly in the ascendancy, it said, and these reports, a lot of these reports was coming from a lot of Spanish outlets and all that, saying we were in the ascendancy. It also said that we'd offered him a lucrative contract, worth up to £170,000 a week, and it also said there was a sign-on fee included of around £10 million a year. Obviously that does equate to around £170,000 a week. But yeah, so many teams have been in there for him. Obviously he's been a long-serving player at PSG. He spent the majority of his career with PSG. He's been there about 8 years, so he has been a long-serving player for them. Obviously, reason up their youth system and all that. I think he's been in PSG senior squad since like 2012 and all that. But yeah, like I said, he's been there 8 years. I think he's won 18 major honours, including 5 League One titles. When he was younger, Adrian Mabel, he also had a spell with Manchester City when he was younger. So he's had experience of playing in Manchester. So if we were to get Adrian Mabel on the board, obviously, would see him as the replacement for Ander Herrera. So yeah, there's so many midfielders on our current agenda. Obviously, Sean Longstaff, he should now be coming to Manchester United. Like I said, we're going to get in for the reasonable figure because reports came out last week saying that we are set to complete around the £25 million deal for Sean Longstaff. Obviously, last season was his first season in the senior squad with Newcastle. I think he played about 9 games under Rafa Benitez. Obviously, didn't play the last couple of months of the season last season. Because obviously he sustained a knee ligament injury, and I still believe he's recovering from that knee ligament injury. Is Sean Longstaff. I think he's also had loan spells with Kilmarnock. He's also had loan spells there with Blackpool, but he is only 21 years of age, very, very young. He's also British, and I think if I'm right, he's mainly a box-to-box midfielder, is Sean Longstaff, but I think he's been in our agenda, for quite some time now, so it's looking likely, we're going to get a deal over the line for him. So, yeah, available for a reasonable figure. But there's so many midfielders, of course, that have been on our agenda. I said we need a holding midfielder, because Nemanja Matic is too inconsistent now, is Nemanja Matic, and too slow, not really, he's too slow, he's aging up, too ineffective in that midfield, and I think we need a holding midfielder, that's faster and tenacious. We've got McTominay, but I think McTominay is too inexperienced. We've got we had Fellaini, but obviously, he left back in January and all that. But yeah, I think we need a holding midfield, and he has, been quite a few on our agenda. Obviously, I like West Ham's Declan Rice. I think he's a really good holding midfielder. He can play as centre back, but I think he's mainly a holding midfielder. He's only 20 years of age. I think obviously well proven in the Premier League. Initially learned his trade in the Premier League. Did Declan Rice. He's been at West Ham a number of years now. He's been in their senior squad for quite a few years as Declan Rice, and I do really, really like him a lot. I think he's under contract to West Ham till 2024. I think he signed this new long-term contract back in December of last year. But yeah, he's exceeded expectation levels at West Ham really, really well. Manchester United have been in for him before. He said, reportedly, West Ham would want around £50 million for him, but he is good. He breaks up the play, really, really well. So I think, Declan Rice is a really good holding midfielder. Initially, before he was at West Ham, he actually was at Chelsea because he began his career with Chelsea and all that. I think joined Chelsea at the age of 7. Obviously, was in their youth, he was in their youth system, for a number of years, but I think he got axed off the age of 14, by Chelsea. I think he's also tall as well as Declan Rice, which is very, very beneficial. Obviously, there was a lot of talks the other week. Well, there was talks about 2 or 3 weeks ago, wasn't there, about Thomas Partey, for Atletico Madrid. He did say Manchester United and Arsenal had inquired about his services. If I'm right, I think Thomas Partey is around his 25 years of age, so I think he's basically in his mid-20s. Available for reasonable figures. I think his initial release clause is around £43 million, but he said Manchester United and Arsenal were in for him. I think he has spent the majority of his career with Atletico Madrid. Reports came out about, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, saying that his dad reportedly said that Thomas Partey wants to make the move to England and all that. So he's been another holding midfielder on our current agenda. But yeah, I do believe that we do need one. Obviously, Joe Felix from Benfica. Obviously, it's Manchester United and Manchester City that are battling out for his services, and I like Joe Felix a lot. I think he's a really, really good player. Only 19 years of age, but he's been relentlessly linked away from Benfica since January. Obviously, we've been scouting Joe Felix since January and all that. Obviously, last season was only his first season in the senior squad with Benfica. Obviously, he's not yet made his senior debut of Portugal and all that. But yeah, very, very good player, and I do believe he can emulate into one of the best players in the world. I think Liverpool inquired about him about his services in January. Liverpool had a £61 million bid turned down for him, but obviously he's going to cost you around £105 million. He's Joe Felix, because that's his initial buyout clause, and I think Benfica from their perspective have confirmed that if they're willing to sell him, his buyout clause basically has to be triggered. He's primarily an attacking midfielder, can also play as a winner, can also play as a second striker and a striker, so very, very versatile. He's Joe Felix. But I think he's actually primarily an attacking midfielder. Like I said, he's only 19 years of age. So I would also love him to come to Manchester United. So he's obviously another midfielder on our current agenda. But yeah, like I said, the players I do expect to leave Manchester United, it's probably Darmian, probably Rojo. I want Sanchez to definitely leave, whether he does or not, I do not know. Obviously, we can't get rid of Sanchez permanently, based on his substantial wages and all that. And I think, his wages are having a really, really bad effect on the football club. Obviously, Sanchez has been here about 16, 17 months now, and he hasn't exceeded expectation levels, and he hasn't, been the fundamental player as we all thought he would have been, because he did have 4 good years with Arsenal before he came to United. Obviously, he did well when he was at Barcelona, when he was younger, when he did play under Pep Guardiola and all that, but he hasn't replicated this at Manchester United. Plus, he doesn't have a future at the club. He's 30 years of age. Obviously, like I said, he doesn't have a future at the club. He's lost that yard of pace, but we know mainly he isn't a first choice anywhere, Alexis Sanchez. But like I said, he has become injury prone, since he's come to Manchester United. I think, he must have sustained about 4 injuries last season that, currently Alexis Sanchez had sustained. But we've definitely got to get rid of him. But Sanchez is on £500,000 a week, initially 400 grand a week, but, based on the image rights and, the bonuses and all that, it rises it up, to around £500,000 a week. So yeah, we've definitely got to get rid of him. But like I said, I think it's looking like that Pogba's going to be leaving the club. It's looking likely, that Lukaku is going to be leaving the club. So like I'm saying, I think, we get rid of them too. It will help us with our rebuilding process, and it will help us with our transition. Don't get me wrong, I think it's, Solskjaer doesn't want to sell Pogba, because Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player and that he is. And initially, it was in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, to build a squad build a side around Paul Pogba. But it's looking like Paul Pogba is going to be leaving. Obviously, I think if we sell Lukaku and Pogba, I think we can raise around £200 million, for their departures. Like I said, that's going to help us with our transition and all that. The one thing I'm disappointed about, though, that we're not getting a sporting director in, because obviously that's a structural change that we did need at the club. Is getting a director to football. But obviously, recent reports said we're not expected to get one in now, a sporting director. So obviously, Ed Woodward will be overseeing our transfer business this summer and all that. Because there were so many names, linked with that director's role at Manchester United. Like I've already gone through you. So we'll try to get a director of football in at least for the last 2 to 3 months. So is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going to be able to succeed in these conditions? But I think in the next couple of seasons anyway, our aspirations are definitely not going to be that top 4. Like I said, we haven't won the league since 2013, so that's like over 6 years ago now. I think, we're a number of years off from challenging or winning the league and all that, but but can he succeed now in these conditions? Don't get me wrong, I like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He was a great player for us for 11 years and all that, but he hasn't really got the experience of manager. This is what does currently concern me. But he was a great player. One of his most iconic moments as a player, of course, was obviously when he scored that late winner in the 1999 Champions League final against Munich at the Nou Camp. Obviously, won us the treble. Obviously, that's the club's greatest achievement and all that. But like I said, I hope he can take us forward. I think we've got to give him a couple of years at least. Because obviously, we haven't got the structure, to keep sacking managers. Like I said, we've already sacked 3, since Alex Ferguson retired. But yeah, like I said, none of this squad's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. One of it, the only player that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's is Daniel James. Apart from that, none of this squad is easy and all that. Because obviously, he's inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. There's quite a lot of players here from Van Gaal still. There's Matty from the David Moyes era. Initially, Fellaini was here, but obviously, Fellaini left back in January. And there's still 4 or 5 players here, from the Alex Ferguson, Herrera and all that. So yeah, still in the process of rebuilding. Obviously wants to build a squad, worthy of the club's history. Obviously wants to bring players in who he thinks have got that work ethic and that physicality and all that, who he thinks are going to fit the culture and the history of the club. Because obviously, we've got to get the right players that are going to fit the culture of this club, because these cultural problems at Manchester United at this current present time. But like I said, we have let far too many players' contracts run down. Obviously, Rashford's in the final year of his deal. I don't think we'll be orchestrating on selling Marcus Rashford, because he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. Like I said earlier on the video about Anthony Martial, I think he's a long-term solution. I think that trio are the long-term solution for Manchester United. I think Martial, Rashford and Lingard are the long-term solution. Obviously, Lingard's a lot more experienced, because obviously Lingard's 27, Rashford's only 21, Martial's only 23 and all that. But yeah, I like Rashford a lot, even though he's been inconsistent in the last couple of months and all that. But Lingard, Martial and Rashford have all been inconsistent in the last couple of months. But saying about Rashford, he hasn't graduated to that level yet. It's going to take him a couple of years, to get him to that level where he currently wants to be. But he's only 21 years of age. Can play centrally, can play out wide, but more effective, centrally is Marcus Rashford. But we have been in talks for quite a while of trying to get Marcus Rashford a new contract, but he's in the final year of his deal. But I don't think we're intending on selling him, even though Barcelona have been in for him before, Real Madrid have been in for him before. With Juan Mata, he hasn't been included in that 14-man release list. With recent reports said, we've offered Juan Mata a new contract, but probably some Manchester United fans, or the vast majority of Manchester United fans, will probably like to see him go. And I've obviously given the latest news about David De Gea. It's looking like he's going to be going. So we sell De Gea, Pogba, and Lukaku. How much could we raise for that? Probably maybe about 250, 260 million pounds we could get for them free, maybe even more than that. But we know how imperative De Gea is. We know how imperative Pogba is and all that. But I don't think De Gea is going to stay at the club because. He's not going to stay at the club, is De Gea, because obviously he's refused to sign a new contract. But the main part of this video, was to give you the latest news of what's gone on in the media today, saying now that reportedly West Ham are demanding Anthony Martial in exchange for Issa Diop. So if they're willing to let Issa Diop come to Manchester United, they want Anthony Martial as part of the deal. Do West Ham, but obviously Manchester United, I'm more than likely to currently turn this offer down, because we do believe that Anthony Martial is the long-term solution and all that. But with Harry Maguire, I'm hopeful that we can get a deal over the line for him. Maybe we're not keen on paying 80 or 90 million pounds for him, like I said, because that is an extortionate amount, for a player that's not even worth 80 or 90 million pounds. So this is what we're orchestrating on, letting one of our fringe players, go to Leicester as part of the deal for Harry Maguire and all that. So he said we're willing to offer Eric Bay or Rojo to Leicester as part of the deal for Harry Maguire, and reports have come out today saying that we're willing to offer Andres Pereira. We're willing to offer Andres Pereira to Leicester as part of the deal for Harry Maguire. So obviously this could convince Leicester to lower their price tag and all that. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.